I've been able to pay down $43,000 of debt in just 13 months, build a $1 million net worth, and now build the future education pot of money for our kids, right? And it's all based on this five-step framework that I'm going to go through in this video today, just five-step, guys. And it wasn't always this, I wasn't always this fluent in my finances. Everything wasn't going as smoothly as it is right now. I used to be living paycheck to paycheck, like significantly, okay, with a ton of debt, obviously, right? The $43,000. And I just had no direction of how to progress with my finances, of how to make things happen, how to move them forward. So this five-step framework not only taught me how to reach my financial goals faster, okay, way faster, but it also helped me just make overall better money decisions and choices on a daily, weekly, monthly basis because it the financial goal just got stuck in my head and I was obsessed with it. And anything that I did every day, every week, it all pointed back to this one goal, okay, through this five-step process. So if you still if you feel stuck in your finances, you're in the right place. Okay. So I'm going to jump into this quick presentation here. I'm just going to share my screen. All right, guys. So this presentation, How to Create Financial Goals, is actually part of my free course and community called Dollar Discipline University. If you're interested, there's a link down in the description of this video. But basically, I just want to help people find more money in their finances, right? Get a better foundation for their finances, and then what we're going to do is we're going to find that money and we're going to use it towards paying down your debt twice as fast. So if that's interesting to you, check out the link. It's a completely free, completely free course for you and community, and everything's there. As of this recording, there's not many people in here. I just started it up, guys. So you'd be like a founding member. And right now, what I'm doing is I'm giving free 30-minute strategy calls if you're interested. Okay. So sign up, join, and I'll see you on the inside. Let's get into the presentation. Goals. And look how excited all of those people are. Yes, financial goals. So first, we have to start with the most obvious slide here. What is a financial goal? We have to define it. We're going to talk about it. So this is my thought around what a financial goal is. A financial goal is a specific target to help guide your money decisions over a period of time. Okay. Why financial goals matter? Well, I saw this firsthand when I was creating my financial goals. I made one so important that it was my North Star. Okay. And once you can make something that every decision in your life can be based around it and you can point to it, like, is this going to impact this? Then that's how you know if you have a good financial goal. And we're going to walk through that entire process because it helps in control your money instead of letting your money control you, right? I talk to a lot of people about their personal finances. And right now, too many people are letting their money control them when actually they're in charge of their own money and they can be controlling it. Okay. So if you have the right goal in place, you'll be able to do that. And the goals obviously will give you direction, motivation, and a plan for the future, right? So the goal of your goals, right? It's not to have one goal and they're like, oh, cool, I got this goal, I'm done. No, the plan or the thought behind it is to create one goal so that it can lead to a bigger, better, more important goal and more impactful goal, right? So the reason why I help people with the foundation of their finances is because a lot of people just are stuck with their finances, with their money management, with their money mindset. Okay. So I help people with all of that. And I think the most important thing that someone could do is pay down their debt. So I help people, money mindset, all this stuff with their finances, we're going to find more money in your finances. Okay. With my proven method. Again, it's in the free course. And we're going to use that money to pay down our debt way faster so that we can get to a more efficient goal, a better goal, right? Like investing for your future, your retirement, your kids' education, whatever the goal is for you. Now, this clip art, you probably just thought I just threw it on here. I spent a lot of time trying to find the perfect picture for this. Why? Okay, so obviously the image is someone walking down a path towards a mountain. They're going to hike up this mountain. And at the top of the mountain is their financial goal, right? Which is great. Why I wanted to show this picture is because a lot of people will probably see this and like, oh, I just walk on the path and I just go straight up the mountain as is. And that might not always be the case. Because what if you go up the mountain and then the last third of the mountain, you have to like rock climb to get all the way up, right? That's not the most efficient way. What if you could take the path and go around the mountain and then there's like a zigzag, nice little calm path all the way up? It takes a little longer, right? But it's easier and a little less risky. Or what we don't see in the picture, what if there's parallel paths next to this one, okay? And it takes on a different path up the mountain. Like maybe this one goes straight up, the parallel ones go up the other sides, right? So I just wanted to point this out because uh, there's dozens, hundreds of ways to reach financial goals. I think people are too obsessed with, creating a goal, but then having to be like it perfect. Like you just have to go in the direction of your goal, okay? And this is kind of what I'm talking about here. A lot of people, your mind probably, when you're thinking about just finances in general, you have a thought, you're like, yes, let's go. And then your mind just goes all over the place. You don't know what to do. Your money's all over the place. You're not consistent. You fall back, you go forward. And then eventually you're like, oh, okay, I made it to the other side. But when you have a financial goal, it's so clear. You start here and you end over here. Now, it might not be perfectly straight like this line. You could go, up and around and do and maybe back a little bit, but at least you're like still going in the direction of your goal. And I hope that that picture sort of uh, sinks in your mind a little bit. What are the benefits? Okay, so the benefits, it's going to help you make informed decisions. And I put prioritize spending. So, for example, if you create a goal, every time, every time you spend money, you can ask yourself, is this purchase aligning with a financial goal that I have or a life goal that I have? Okay. So if it's yes, obviously do the thing. If it's a no, then maybe we need to reevaluate it. And that's why the financial goal is just such an important North Star. Okay. It's got to be that impactful. A financial goal helps you track progress. Okay. Where you are versus where you want to be. So we know where we are and we know where we want to go. The middle is the part that people have a lot of trouble with, which again, that framework is going to solve all of it. But it helps us track our progress, see how we're doing. Let's think about it like this: since people understand fitness, right? If I wanted to lose 20 pounds, okay, 20 pounds is the goal. But if I have never stepped on a scale and I'm not stepping on a scale today, I don't know where I'm at. So we have to know where you're at, where you want to go, and then find the bridge or the line, the straight line to hopefully take us there. Obviously, reducing stress is a big one because again, it's going to provide clarity around your finances, the North Star financial goal, right? So if you have a goal and if you base all of your decisions or most of your decisions around what's best for that goal, then it's going to reduce the stress. It's going to reduce the decision making because it's the goal is going to make it for you. It's going to be very obvious. And then, like I mentioned before, this isn't a one and done. We're not creating one financial goal. It's not, oh, I want to do this thing and then cool, I'm going to, not do anything else the rest of my life. We want to create the financial goal so that we can continue with the financial goals, right? The bigger and better ones. So the types of financial goals, there's three phases that we're going to talk about. Okay. Short-term goals, less than a year, medium-term goals, 1 to 5 years, and the long-term goals are 5 years or more. Okay. But how do we prioritize financial goals? Well, first we have to identify the urgent problem. So what I want you to do is, as we're going through this, start thinking in your life, what are the urgent financial problems or financial situations or whatever you want to call it in your life? And actually, you can do this for life goals too. You can do like, what are the financial things? What are the life things? And then we want to rank them in order of importance. So now that you've listed them all out, re-rank them in sort of like, ooh, which is like the problem, like the real problem. Like you should know, right? It's like, ooh, yeah, this one or two. It's like, I really need to solve this. So we're going to put those first. And then we also have to think about the current resources and the time that each of these, goals are needed to solve, right? So if we have two people, this person, so they both have a $0 net worth, right? They're at zero. This person wants to go from zero to $1,000 net worth. And this person wants to go from zero to $1,000,000 net worth, right? The actions and the time and the resources that each of these people take is very, very different, right? Obviously, the $1,000,000 one, it's going to take way more time. It's going to take way more money and resources and thought and energy behind it. Whereas like the 1,000 one, you could do it like next week, right? I don't know, but you see what I'm saying? Where it's they're weighted differently, okay? But okay, these are all great, blah, blah, blah. But how do you make a financial goal, right? Introducing the SMART framework for financial goals. Now, SMART is an acronym, SMART. And so each of those has its own little step that we're going to talk about and we're going to go through. So the first one, the S, is specific, okay? And with specific, it basically answers clear, detailed answers to these questions, right? who, what, when, why, and where. Now, where, little trickier to get an answer for. So if you can find one where you have a where, then that's great. But it's kind of like a bonus one. So it's not required. It's tougher. But before we get into what a good goal is, right, we have to sort of set expectations and look at what a bad goal is. So here we go. I want to be debt free. It's a great thought, right? It's a great mindset. And a lot of people should have this thought. But it's not a goal. It's not a goal. Why isn't it a goal? Well, it doesn't really answer the majority of these questions. So if we were to reframe, I want to be debt free into a more specific thought exercise, what would we do? Well, what's the who? Me. Okay. I want to be debt free. What? Well, I would be debt free if I paid off the 3K in credit card debt that I have. Okay, great. When do we want to do this? Oh, in the next 6 months. Great. That's specific. Why? Well, if I pay off my debt faster, I can build my wealth more efficiently because I no longer will be paying money to other people. I would be putting money towards myself. I'll be investing in myself. That's pretty cool. And then where? Well, I'll be using the budget template and the debt payment calculator provided in Dollar Discipline University. Yeah, that is, you know, little plug for the course. Okay. So let's put them side by side and see which one sounds more specific. I want to be debt free, or I want to pay off 3K in credit card debt over the next 6 months by dedicating extra money from my budget after applying new skills learned in Dollar Discipline University. Now, I have to ask it out loud, but which one sounds more specific? Okay. Obviously, this one. Obviously. Next on the list, the M stands for measurable. Okay. And with measurable, it leaves no room for gray area. It's black or it's white. Okay. It's like it's binary. It's like, did it happen or no? Okay. So let's look at another sort of way to phrase the example. I will pay $500 towards my credit card each month for the next 6 months to reach my goal of paying off $3,000. Okay. Which one of these things can we measure? We can measure the $500, we can measure the 6 months, and we can measure the $3,000, right? All those things are measurable. We know when we pay $500 out of our wallets or our bank account, we know what 6 months looks like, and we know what 3K would look like at the end of the 6 months. That's great. The next one is called achievable. That's the A. And with achievable, we want to be realistic and it can be accomplished within your current resources and capabilities, but there is a caveat, okay? And this is, it's different. Achievable, I want you to think about differently depending on the type of the goal, the length of the goal, the ones that we talked about earlier, okay? So the short term, the less than a year, the medium term, the 1 to 5 years, and then the long term, the 5 years or more. Because with a short term goal, we probably want it to be realistic. It's less than a year. We need to be realistic. The medium-term goal, let's get a little less realistic because a lot can happen. A lot can change in 1 to 5 years. And then the long-term goal, let's get crazy, people, because over 5 years, like if we're thinking 10 years from now, it's pretty nuts. And everyone knows who this guy is, okay? He has this quote, and I think it's really, really impactful for this discussion that we're having about financial goals. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Okay. So basically what that's saying is like people think in 1 year I can accomplish all these things, right? I'm recording this in the middle of December 2024. So everyone's probably starting to think about their 2025 New Year's resolutions, right? They're like, yeah, they're coming into 2025. I'm going to crush my financial goals, my health, my blah, 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 right? And then they get to the end of the year. It's like, oh, yeah, I quit all that in March, right? But in 10 years, it's like, think about who you were and what you were doing and the skills that you had or didn't have. And now like, look at where you are now. And when I do this exercise, I'm 35 years old. So when I was 25, I never thought I'd be like doing what I'm doing now. I don't think I'd have the skills. Like I was not, I'm just like a completely different person. Right. And I hope you feel the same way too. So the long-term goals, yeah, we want to get crazy and dance around like these people, right? So, but I don't want you to think of achievable. I don't want it to slow your growth. Okay. So we have to think about it in each of the buckets. Okay. So if all your goals are achievable, you're not going to be able to reach your wildest dreams. So if you have a 10-year goal and it sounds really easy, it's like, well, that's not really like, you're not challenging yourself. You're not going to like push the limits. You're just going to live like, above average, mediocre financial life, which I don't want for any of you. I want you guys to like keep crushing it and get, be in the top 20%, 10% of whatever you want to do, like because of the goals that you're setting and the actions that you're taking to reach them. So yeah, just you can't limit yourself. And if we look at an achievable goal, again, this example was a 6 month goal. So we do want it to be achievable because it's within 6 months. So this sounds pretty achievable. I can allocate $500 each month by reducing certain expense categories that no longer align with my financial goals. Like, okay, that sounds specific and measurable and achievable, which is great. Like I can, if I don't have $500, I can, okay, what's my North Star financial goal? Okay, I want to be debt free in 6 months. Okay, is every decision that I'm making, money wise, aligned with that? Ooh, no, it's not. Okay, so let me tweak some things around. Okay, so that's how we can do that. Relevant is R. And basically, what this means, it aligns again with your larger life goals, your larger financial goals, and the priorities that you have. And this one is all about motivation because, quite honestly, in the world we live now, there's just way too many distractions for you, for your money, for whatever. So if your goal is based around debt, which in this example it is, you should not be thinking about Bitcoin or sports betting or the new get rich quick scheme or day trading. Okay. We shouldn't be thinking about any of those because this is what your money looks like when it gets put into many goals. Now, there's 8 arrows here with $8 signs. A lot of you probably think that this is the best way to do it, right? Like diversify, like, oh, the millionaires and billionaires, they're diversifying their money of income, right? So everyday Joes like you and me, we we need to be diversifying our money. And I made this mistake a while ago. It's not about sprinkle here, sprinkle there. It's what would be a little more powerful is putting all the excess money that you have towards a thing, right? One goal. Because what those studies show about the 7 income streams for millionaires, what it doesn't show is those millionaires and billionaires, they made all their money with like they did one thing really well and they made a ton. They're like, crap, now I have all this money. I have to like let me diversify and be a little more safe with it. Because if this one thing flops for me, I lost all my money. So then they like take it and they move it around. Okay. So that's why they diversify and that's why they have 7 income streams because they made all their money in one thing and then they split it up so that they can, play it safe and keep growing. Okay. But out of these two, which one do you think looks more powerful? Okay. So let's say, for example, again, you're trying to pay down your debt in 6 months, and the debt is just one of those arrows, one of those $signs. Okay. Or you could look on the right side, and the debt is that big one arrow, and all the extra money that you have is going to that. How much faster do you think you'd be paying off your debt in 6 months if you did it that, as opposed to like diversifying, right? So here's the relevant example. Paying off this $3,000 in credit card debt will free up money for savings and reduce my financial stress, which is a high priority for my peace of mind and future goals. So yes, the money thing is important, but I'm also freeing up mind space so that I can like do the next thing. Like I'm going to stop giving money to other people for a thing that I bought, and I'm going to put that money towards something, more powerful, that instead of negative compounding interest, right? We're paying interest when we have debt. We want to build our own compounding interest, maybe with investing, retirement, etc. Right? So that's relevant. T stands for time. And with time, that's basically just meaning that you have a specific deadline, which creates, a sense of urgency, and it provides a target to work for. So in our example, it's the 6 months, and that's really important because if we said I want to just pay off the $3,000, that would take you. You would just take however long you want it to take. It's like, no, I need to challenge myself. Let's get rid of it in 6 months. So this works at the start of the goal as well as of the length of the goal. So at the start of the goal, right? Anyone can just start a new thing tomorrow. And this is kind of what I was saying. Like anyone could just start like, yeah, I'll start tomorrow. Yeah, next week sounds great. If you're so I'm a 9 to 5er, okay? So if you're a 9 to 5er, let me know down below. But if your place of work caught on fire at 11 a.m. and you weren't expected to leave until 5 p.m., are you leaving at 11 a.m. when your place is on fire? Or you're like, no, like I'm supposed to be here until 5. Right? Like, no, you do the thing now because there's urgency. You're gonna literally like catch on fire. So you have to leave now. You have to do the thing now. So you have to light the fire under your butt, literally. And if you said that differently, urgency, right? How do we create a situation in our mind where it's 11 a.m. and we have to figure out a way to pay off this debt, and we're not waiting until 5 p.m. We have to do like now. How do we figure out sooner, right? Urgency, please. So the length of the goal, obviously it depends on the type of the goal, right? So obviously time is a big factor in the length of the goal. So short, medium, long, we talked about that. The longer the goal, the more attention and focus you need on it, right? So if you have a 10-year goal, you can't start thinking about it, in year 8, and you're like, oh wow, I have 2 years to reach this goal. No, you have to start thinking about it now. And in a perfect world, it's aligned with you have a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, and a long-term goal, and they're all sort of aligned. And in order to reach your long-term goal, you have to have, again, dozens and hundreds of smaller term, medium-term goals to be able to reach that outcome. So you always have to be thinking about what the next step is. And the bigger the goal, the more smaller goals we can focus on. It's like I wrote this presentation, right? So that is the SMART framework for financial goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time. So to go through each one of these, so specific answers the who, what, when, why, and where. Measurable, either it happened or it did not. Achievable, with our current resources and capabilities, with the caveat of, the longer the goal, the less achievable we want it to make it. Relevant aligns with our larger life goals and financial goals. And the time is that deadline. We need urgency, please, urgency. So, exciting times. Let's create the goal with all these elements. Now we're going to take this SMART framework, the 5 steps, and we're going to make this really awesome goal. Here we go. In 6 months, my $3K credit card debt will be paid off. We have a time element in here. We have a specific element in here. This means I'll need to average $500 a month towards my debt by being more intentional with my spending. Okay, we have a measurable, we have an achievable section. That's great. More specifically, spending way less on things not aligned with this goal. We have a relevant. Okay, this is awesome. Now, there's obviously more, measurable things, specific things. I could have highlighted each of the things, but this is the kind of detail that we want. And let's go back to the beginning, right? Again, which one do you think you'd be a little more inclined to, stay up with? The super SMART goal, or I want to become debt free, right? Do you see how much more powerful a little thought behind, the goal and going through the SMART checklist, how much more powerful it is? Ah, yes. Who remembers this slide? By the end of this presentation, you'll be creating your own financial goals. Well, guess what? We are nearing the end of this presentation. So using the SMART framework, I want you to create a short-term goal, a medium-term goal, and a long-term goal, okay? So to help you get started, I actually went through this exercise myself, and I created new financial goals that I've never created before, just to be very honest with you, okay? Because I wanted it to be genuine. I didn't want to just fluff a goal. So I literally went through this process and I did the thing. So the short-term goal, this is kind of a bad news one, right? So we need to save $625 a month for the next 12 months, which is $7,500, for half of what was quoted for a new roof. Womp womp, because the pros don't think it'll last more than 5 years. This one stings. Okay, this one hurts a little bit, but basically we got a bunch of quotes. It's gonna be like 15 grand. And they're like, yeah, you got a couple years left, but who knows, right? It's one of those things. No one knows. So it's like crap. So we don't want to go into debt to pay for this roof that we're gonna have to pay for in years. So how do we put money aside to save for this goal? Like we're literally gonna put money aside, not, out of sight, out of mind. And we're gonna try to save $7,500 in 12 months. And then from there, sort of reassess, I guess, the roof, see where we're at. And hopefully we can do that process again where we're saving another $625 a month to get to the 15. And that way we could just kind of pay for the roof in cash. But the reason why, so we started this and we're actually failing. So we're 2 months in to this goal. We have not saved $625 a month. Okay. The first month we put $300 to it. The next month we put $500 to it. So we are behind, like, I don't know what that is, $400 or so, $500. And I wanted to share that with you because I think people get frustrated when they create a goal and they fail in the first month and they just fall off. Like we've been failing. And to be honest, the next few months, I don't know how that's going to work either because I don't think we're going to get to the 625, but it's okay because we're being directionally correct, right? The goal is to save money for the roof. Now, if we don't hit $7,500, like, is it a loss? Like, we're upset? No. but we have to, you know, I would argue it might not be achievable, right? So it is a short-term goal that might not be achievable, but it is kind of a challenge too, because we do want to try to make it happen. So if we, end up saving like 5 grand, I don't think we're going to be upset. Okay. So I just wanted to share that because I think it's important. Um, Too many people fall off their goals once they like realize they see that they fail once, they just don't get back up on the bike. You got to keep getting back on the bike, even if it hurts and it's painful. It's like we have, whatever it is. What did I say? $800 put aside for it. So we're not mad. We're going to keep going. Medium term goal. In the next 5 years, I want to make twice annually what my wife and I are currently making. So I can tell her that she doesn't have to work anymore if she doesn't want to. Okay. Now, this one kind of made me emotional. So kudos and bonus points if you can create one that ties to like something so important. Because after I wrote it and I thought about it, and I was like, how the hell am I have to make this happen now. I didn't put our salaries on here. I know what we make currently. We're both doing the 9 to 5 thing, and I'm doing, this on the side. However, to feel comfortable to say, hey, do you want to not work anymore or do like a part-time thing? I would feel comfortable if I made twice what we make currently. So that's kind of the goal. That's kind of a target of mine in the next 5 years. So to be quite honest with you, that does not seem achievable to me. It's like just it doesn't seem achievable. So that makes it challenging. And I have to think of ways of how to make that happen. The long-term goal in the next 10 years, we want to pay off our mortgage, which is now, it's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. So we can save $100,000, 100,000 plus of interest and become financially free. I think once we pay off our mortgage, we'll be financially free. So if we can do that in the next 10 years, that would be incredible. Now, this again just seems absolutely ridiculous and not achievable at all, which makes it a fun challenge because you have to sort of reverse engineer your way back into how am I going to do this? Okay. So in 10 years, you could figure out like how much you would need to pay. And obviously, we're not, on track to that. We're not on track to do that right now, like obviously. But in 5 years, like, I don't know, it might be pretty substantial. Like we might not really get any traction until like year 8 or 9, but I'm starting to think about it now. Okay. 10 years from now. So by the time I'm 45 years old, I'd like to have no mortgage. And these sort of align with each other, right? So not maybe the roof one, that's just sort of a weird one, but the medium term goal, like if I'm making twice annually what my wife and I are making, I'm assuming that means I'll be able to put more money towards the mortgage, which is the long term goal. So they're pretty connected, which is really, really exciting. And again, it's a really smart thing. But this long term goal with the mortgage, like this is how I want you to think about long term goals, right? I can't, if I only think about how am I going to pay off multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars in 10 years, I have to chunk it up into smaller goals, right? So I probably need like 1,000 short-term goals over that time. I need a bunch of medium-term goals. Okay. And that's the way that that's the way that you do this. So if you truly did this exercise with me, even if you pause the video for a second, down in the comments, I'd love to, read your short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Okay. So now this part, again, I made this presentation for my Dollar Discipline University presentation here. I'm just going to do another quick reminder here, guys. School.com/debt. Okay. That's where I want you to go. School.com/debt if you're interested to join. Again, we're very new here. We got 6 members. So you'd be a founding member and you get that free 30-minute strategy call. Okay. So we're going to talk about your situation. We're going to figure out, I'm going to point you in the right direction. And then we'll talk about what would be working for you to sort of reach those financial goals that we want to talk about. Okay, let's see the time. It is 8 o'clock. You know what? Okay, I have a call at 8:30, but I want to do something else with you guys. So I was hoping I'd have time, and I do. Surprise here. I want to. So we just talked about how to reach financial goals, and in the presentation in there, I mentioned how we can go into our finances and try and find a little extra money to maybe help towards the financial goals. So what I want to do is go into a budget template. And if you just want to, get some tracking tools, I also have those down in the description. I have a budget template, a debt payment calculator, a net worth tracker, and an emergency fund calculator down there. So this is the budget template. What a lot of people don't know is there's actually an exercise you need to be doing before you have your budget. Okay. if you've never budgeted before. It's called the 3-month look back. So this is for people that have never budgeted before. They're not consistent budgeting and they're not really that consistent with their finances. So with the 3-month look back, let me just get a quick drink of water. The whole goal of this is we want to track our variable expenses, okay, of the last 3 months. So whether you use your your bank or credit cards, we want to get all those statements from 3 months ago, and we want to start adding them up for each month by expense category. Okay. And what this is going to do after you do this for 3 months is going to give us an average. And I'm not going to lie to you, because there's no point in like giving you fluff here. This part is tedious and it's brutal. And if you've never really looked at your finances before, this could be very eye-opening in a negative way at first, and then very positive. So the people I've worked with, they're always nervous to do this part. They're like, oh my God. And then they do it and they're like, crap, like I cannot believe I spent this much on XYZ. It's like, it's ridiculous. But then like 5 minutes later in that conversation, they're so thankful that they did this because it just gives them the light of day, and it shows like, wow, this is actually where my money's going. And again, in that presentation, we want to be aligning our money with our financial goals and our life goals. So it's really easy to figure out right away if your money is going towards your financial goals in your life goals or if it's not. Okay. So, yep, I actually have some numbers in here because I was playing around with this today or yesterday. I'm a nerd like that. I like to play around in budgets. So this is just some random examples, but basically after the exercise is done, again, I'm recording this in December. So I did a September, October, November. These are all just sort of example numbers, but we have averages for each of these expense categories. Okay. Which is great. Now we're seeing, oh, where are we spending our money every single month? The next part of this is we take the actual, and then again, we sort of think about what our goals are. Like, okay, how can I maybe find more money? How can I realign my spending to reach financial goals? And then you go through each of these expense categories and you're like, I would like to think about the new budgeted amount based on the expense category. So if it's a category that is pretty consistent, like utilities, you're like, okay, the average is 253. I'm just going to say 260 just to be sort of safe, but like that feels safe. Okay. Gas, the average is 75. It's a little all over the place. We have like a 50, we have a 80, a 96, but we'll just go with the average for now. We can adjust it later on. I think that's good. And then you could look at something like health and fitness. So you're like, oh, wow, actually, one of my life goals is around health and fitness, and I'm only spending $30 a month here. Like, what is going on? So you put like, okay, like let's just like double it and just the why behind this section is the most important. So these two, gas and utilities, I just sort of did what the average was. Okay. But with this one, you're trying to change, a habit. So for you, I think it's really important if you what action are you going to take to make this happen? It's like, well, I would take more classes and supplements. I don't know, right? I'm not a doctor, so this is not health advice, but make it something a lot more specific than that, right? Maybe use the SMART framework to talk about the why behind this. But if this is really important to you and you're only spending 30, like this is your budget and you absolutely have permission to spend more in a category. Too often, I think people think with budgeting that it's just restrictive, and it couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually budget is just about intentionality, intentional on where we're spending our money, how we're spending our money, why we're spending our money. Okay. People just spend money to spend money because they go online and all these, it's so easy to spend money now, like online. It's ridiculous. Like all these sites just know human psychology and they just know, like, oh, there's only 3 of these left. Oh, there's only 8 rooms left. Like should you book now? Like, yeah, it's like people, they get you all the time. So like, every decision needs to be based around these goals. Okay. So we can continue going through this. Like, okay, maybe groceries, we'll try to dink down a little bit. Maybe we can go to a cheaper grocery store. So you'd write like, cheaper store for some items. Okay, great. Um, Dining out, you're like, ooh, wow. Okay, apparently I spent that much on Uber Eats. So it's like, all right, I need to just dial this back to like once a week. So we'll just say $100. Okay. And then activities, maybe, I don't know, you have kids or something and you have activities. So you're just like, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of keep that as is. Okay. So after you go through this exercise, you have your, monthly savings here. So green means good. Green means that you found extra money, approximately based on the average. Red means that you're spending more money, and zero just means that there was no change. So at the end of this, we look down here and our monthly savings, you could see down in this cell, we found $111. That's pretty cool. We just were intentional with what we were looking at with our money. We were tracking our finances. We were just uh, wanting our money to work better, meaning like wanting our money to go towards a financial goal. And all we did was track it. And yes, this process sucked. It sucked. Oops. But it netted us $100 a month. Now, if you're happy with this, great. You should go, to the next part and go into the budget, which I'm not going to get into in this video because that could be a little more in depth. But what I just wanted to show you was you've reached the financial goal. Now you go into your budget and you'd be surprised the money that you might need for your shorter term goals is in there, or at least some of it. Okay. So if you're satisfied with the 111, it's like, great. Okay. Now let's move forward with the December budget. And we're going to apply these numbers to our variable expenses. And we're just going to go from there because look at this. The annualized savings is $1,300. So it's not chump change. Like you found $1,300 in 12 months. Like what could you do with $1,300? You could probably do a lot of things. And that's exactly what I teach in the free course, right? How do we take the money that we find and we put it towards our debt to pay it down, hopefully 2 or more times faster. Okay. So we can get to that next financial goal. So, I think I'm going to leave it there, guys. Yeah. So school.com/debt. It's in the description. I am going live every Thursday night around this time. Okay. 7:30, 8 o'clock. I've got 2 kids, so it depends on how bedtime goes, but I'm going to plan for 7:30. And I really want to try and give you tactical advice and mindset stuff and just show you like this is everything that I know, right, in pieces. So I'm not holding anything back. And I really just want you guys to win. It's everything that I did and my wife did to, pay down $43,000 worth of debt in 13 months, get $1 million net worth. And I just want to I want everyone to win. And so if this video, hopefully it impacted you, let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. Like what's something that you're struggling with that you'd really love to get feedback on. I'd love to, do stuff around budgeting, mindset stuff, debt stuff, financial goals. Like, so if there's anything like super, super specific, I'd love to hear from you down there. So every Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, school.com/debt. I will see you in the next one. All right. Stay good, guys.